Hello everybody, and welcome to story number 2. So if you were watching story number 1, then you need to see this. That's the hotel we stayed in Portugal. Can you all see it? So it's my story hotel. And then towards the end, when we were coming home, actually at the airport, this one. Tell stories. Folks, I want to say thank you first of all before I get on with telling another story to everybody who has been in touch. It's been so encouraging. Yeah, I actually would rather be like not speaking to a camera and have 30 rowdy teenagers to deal with, but anyway, look, I'll get used to this maybe. So I'm calling this story number 2, God's Smile in the Himalayas. It was the spring of 1994, and a thought was going around my head. I'd like to go to a developing country and do something practical with my summer holiday. Now, I didn't know whether this was just me or whether this really had come from God. And I mean, in life, we often have to work out, which is it here. So I started to chat to God about it over several months. And I said, God, look, if this is really not from you, then please just let these thoughts just disappear. But they just kept coming and coming and coming. So I then, after a few more things that were going on, I decided then to act on this and apply to an organisation. Again, I was saying, God, if you're really not wanting this to happen, just stop it. I'll be fine with failing the interview or whatever, if they don't need a position or something like that. So I was then conjuring up all these thoughts in my head of me with a boiler sit on or dungarees or something outside, enjoying the sunshine, getting a tan at the same time, and painting some orphanage or something like that in Romania. I had pictures in my head. I just wanted a break from teaching, and I was brought up on a farm, as a lot of you know, so I wasn't going to be scared of hard work. In fact, I loved being outside, and the thought of being somewhere sunny and getting decent weather appealed to me a lot. So I thought, that's it. I have it all sorted in my head here. So did the interview and got the interview. Remember the day I opened the envelope as if it was yesterday. It said basically we would be delighted if you would take up a teaching position in India. And folks, I have to tell you, my heart sank. I threw the piece of paper onto the ground and I just shook my head in a sort of disbelief, and I thought, oh, this is a red light. This is like a complete no. This is God doesn't want me to do this summer. Had my dinner, and then slowly it started to dawn on me that actually teaching could be described as being practical. And India was certainly a developing country. And then I started to feel really sick because A, I didn't want to teach, and B, I kind of thought India was a dirty, stinking hole of a country. Terrible, maybe to put it like that, but that's sort of what I was thinking of. So I went into a chat with God. In spiritual terms, folks, we talk about this maybe as being some kind of thing like a surrender, we would say, a surrender of the will. But in real terms, it basically was ugly. It was basically intense between me and God, and I was saying stuff like, God, whenever it comes to July, I'm completely exhausted. I need a break. I need to get out of teaching. I don't need to get on a flight, head to somewhere that I don't know, meet people that I don't know, new school, new curriculum, new children, new stresses, new everything, new preparation to do, busy. God, I really had pictured myself in a boiler suit with a paintbrush. And where am I going to get a tan if I'm teaching? And India, my goodness God, I have not stepped foot in a developing country. Do you not kind of think this is a bit like, throwing me in at the deep end? So this was the kind of conversation. Very real, very honest. And I've been learning, that God speaks and God talks back. At the end of the day, he's alive. He rose again, so he'll speak to you. I heard nothing. I mean, nothing. And then it slowly dawned on me, and I thought, I'm getting the message. So it's up to you, Barbara, really. This wasn't the picture you had in your head. It certainly wasn't. But this, I think, was what God was saying to me. Yeah, I'd be quite happy for you to go to India, teach for a few weeks, and, trust me. So with a courage that actually surprised me, I wrote off to accept that I would go that summer. And I have to tell you guys, it was one of the happiest summers of my life. I met people during that summer that I'm still friendly with, that in fact if they were living next door or somewhere around here, they would be my best friends. In some ways they still are my best friends. And I want to tell you one story today. There will be others after this, but just one. I was a bit of a nervous wreck in a way. I mean, I was relying on God greatly, but I was also nervous about this venture. It was a big deal for me to head off as a single woman at the age of 24, not knowing anybody, not knowing what I was heading into, and to trust God with all of that. The health issue, the house was going to be in, everything. The cold weather in the Himalayas at that time of the year, maybe even monsoons, everything. It was so different from what I had expected in my head. So when I arrived on the first day of proper school, I'm at the back of the assembly hall looking up, and I think to myself, I think I recognise that man. And I'm like, Barbara, wise up. You couldn't possibly recognise that man. But very soon after that, he came forward to the microphone, and in a Northern Irish accent, he spoke to the school. And I'm thinking, what's going on here? Then all of a sudden, a picture came into my head, like a photograph from years ago, like 12, 14 years ago, of when I was a little girl at Sunday school. I'd prayed for that man, and I knew it. There and then, I just knew it. It was the same face. It was the same smile. Now, at Sunday school, we had been asked to pray for missionaries. A little piece of card, folded up, photograph stuck onto it, like this. And I played with it as a little girl. I remember, like going on this and flicking it. And I'll be honest, there was probably a dozen people to pray for, but I only ever prayed for one couple. The reason I think I prayed for them was because they looked happy. They were actually both vibrant, smiley, and happy looking to an 8 or 9 year old. And the guy still had a great smile. I knew it was him. So there was me, this little... Oh, by the way, I hope you all like my outfit. Any excuse to wear, like, Indian cotton. It's one size fits all, so it's absolutely huge. My mum would call it a tent, but anyway, I have other things I wear on another occasion. So there was me, as I say, in the Himalayas, first time ever. And just by way of comfort, really. I mean, God knows us, folks. He knows that was a really brave thing for me to do at that age of my life, at that stage of my life, on my own. And I believe he put those two people there who were senior characters in that school at the time, from Northern Ireland, people I could connect with, people I did click with, just to say to me, Barbara, you're exactly where I want you to be. And I have these people here. If ever you get a bit homesick, if ever you want to ask a question, they're here. And folks, it was way more than that. I mean, they had me in their home several times for meals. They encouraged me. I looked up to them. They inspired me. They were great examples of what it should be like to be a Jesus follower. And folks, I can tell you there are a lot of bad examples out there. There are a lot of people who are just doing their own thing. They're completely self-interested, self-focused indeed. They think they can do whatever they want and then just ask for forgiveness. This couple were different. This couple were quite wacky, but they loved life and they were doing great things individually as well as together in a marriage. And I greatly looked up to them and needed them that time in India, just as that little bit of consolation, a little bit of comfort, if anything indeed should go awry. God actually brought us together, that couple and me, together again 8 or 9 years after that, in the most unusual of ways. But look, that's another story for another day, and enough for now. So thank you all again, folks, and that'll do us for now. Bye bye.